Welcome everyone, where we talk today about a very interesting topic for the members of the audience. We'll be touching upon achieving resilience and scale in the cloud. I'm Swaroop, a member of Wiz's product marketing team, and I'll be talking you through the story of how Wiz can help companies achieve resilience. So we love an engaged audience. So if you're someone who has an input from a resilience perspective or want to just say hi or chat, do engage with us. We love all the engagement. I know that a lot of you are very familiar with Wiz, so thank you. But for those of you who are new, just a quick introduction. Wiz, we are leaders in cloud security, and today over 40% of the Fortune 100 use Wiz to secure everything they do in the cloud. Companies like Morgan Stanley, Priceline, Mars, Aon use Wiz to secure their workloads, their data stores, and everything they do across the engineering pipeline as well. Today, we're one of the largest privately held cybersecurity firms, and we are backed by leading VCs like Sequoia, Insight, Index, and Lightspeed. With that said, what is driving the interest in the market today from a resiliency standpoint? We know that when you think about resiliency, there are a number of factors that impact how services are kept online. But one of the factors that often impact the uptime is the risk of cloud attacks. Today, with every organization in the midst of some form of digital transformation, we see that as cloud workloads increase, there's a rapidly growing and expanding attack surface in the cloud. Most recently, numbers indicate that last year there was a 36% growth in cloud attacks. And these attacks include these attacks or risks include traditional risks like misconfiguration or attacks due to malware in unpatched instances, but also newer attacks like AI-based attacks, supply chain attacks, nation-state attacks, and cloud isolation issues. So the risk from a resiliency standpoint has significantly increased as businesses have moved to the cloud. It is this risk that legislation has recently taken notice of. And we see that there are new regulations coming across the world from a compliance perspective in order to make sure that services are protected and kept up and running. There are new regulations like NIS2 in Europe, CIRA, DORAs, to name a few, that have come up and are placing a lot of attention from a regulatory standpoint. So the question is that a lot of these regulations are placing new requirements for organizations to make sure that their environments are kept compliant from a resiliency standpoint. There are new legal risk and reporting requirements. There's requirements around supply chain management. There is incident response and planning requirements, as well as the need to have critical oversight over third-party providers like cloud vendors to make sure that they are not impacted by security risks in their environment. So it is this environment that has forced a lot of companies to have conversations with us. And we see a couple of recurring patterns across businesses and a couple of actions that they're taking in terms of implementing strong cloud resiliency programs. What we're going to share is a very simple formula, a 3-step formula that anyone today can think about and adopt in their organization as they think about cloud resiliency. I personally think about this as the table stakes from a cloud resiliency standpoint. The first pattern that we see is that organizations that think about resiliency and have a pretty mature cloud resiliency program have a deep understanding of their cloud footprint. Now, this quite often includes having the complete inventory of every cloud resource or every resource running in the cloud. This includes workloads, databases, technology components, software components that are running in the cloud. Getting a complete inventory of your resources, your components, your libraries sets you up towards success from a cloud resiliency standpoint. But also, inventory is just the start, but having standardization across cloud environments, both from a controls perspective, but also from a policy perspective, is very foundational here. But companies that have a really good understanding also extend that understanding to their software supply chain, right? They're looking at the sort of libraries, technologies, frameworks, but also the level of testing that has gone on before the piece of component, before the software component is exposed in the cloud. Quite often, a lot of this pattern is accompanied with like a good set of metrics to set up foundational views. This includes like things like workloads, data stores, measuring that, maintaining that, but also keeping a view about dependencies and inventory in the cloud so that they know what exactly is going on in their environment and where the risks lie in case an issue breaks out. So that's the first pattern. Companies have a strong inventory culture where they focus on developing a deep understanding of the cloud footprint. The second piece is an excessive focus on threat intelligence to make sure that they stay ahead of every attack pattern out there. Now, these companies, they do the basics, they focus on vulnerabilities, but they also do some of the more advanced stuff where they focus on emerging patterns of threats. This includes 0 days, and they do this through integrating both native threat feeds that might be part of the product, but also like working closely with third-party threat intel feeds that can help augment some of the research that they're doing internally. Now, quite often, the metrics, when it comes to measurement here in the second pattern, is like focusing excessively on severity as well as the time to detect and the time to respond. Now, this second pattern helps a lot in terms of like preventing issues from breaking out in your environment. And good threat intelligence goes a long way in terms of like protecting your cloud environments. The third pattern that we see organizations implement is a focus on insight, where they use the cloud security platform to gain a lot of insight to drive resolution of issues, to drive response, to drive remediation. Now, insight could be as simple as like identifying risk and identifying the toxic combination attack paths, but also contextualization of that risk, understanding every piece of context as to why an attacker might attack a piece of resource in the cloud, and using some of that knowledge and learnings to feed that back into your software processes to prevent that risk from reaching the cloud. Now, insight is very, very important because because using this insight, teams have been able to mitigate some of the risks that they often see and getting ahead of attackers and like just doing some of the basic stuff before an attack plays out. Some of the metrics that teams have often used here to measure this pattern is to look at controls in place as well as coverage, both from a core and IAC perspective. So there you go. There are 3 simple patterns that we think every team, every company, every organization needs to think about. This includes inventory, intelligence, and insight. And having the right set of pieces helps you ensure that your cloud environments are kept up and running from a cloud resiliency standpoint. So we know that resiliency is just one of the many topics driving attention in 2023, but there are a broad list of issues that companies are trying to pay attention to, especially in the financial services sector. Visibility and ensuring that they have complete visibility in the cloud is a common topic, then companies tend to focus a lot on that. Additionally, businesses are thinking about how to gain contextualization about issues that are running and avoiding silos that have traditionally plagued businesses. Compliance, it goes without saying, continues to be a big focus area, and regulations such as NIST and other laws tend to place a lot of focus here. Additionally, we see democratization of cloud security as well as robust detection and response being areas that businesses want to focus excessively on. So Wiz, when we work with financial services organizations, we focus on a couple of key areas where we're able to help. We're able to help identify and avoid risks in the cloud. This is a risk of sensitive data, sensitive assets, preventing misconfigurations. We work closely to eliminate siloed tools across cloud security use cases and giving complete visibility of like newer technology, newer workloads like the AI stack. We're also able to work very closely with teams to focus on democratizing security, making sure that both developers and engineers are able to work closely. We also help through compliance programs, resiliency programs, and ultimately focus on driving broad initiatives, whether it's digital transformation, multi-cloud journeys, on-prem to cloud migrations, launching new products, as well as mergers and acquisitions. So So one of the stories that reflect this is the story we did with Aon. Aon, as you know, offers a number of insurance and financial services products. And they came to Wiz with a very large cloud footprint spanning over 120 countries with a heavy focus on mergers and acquisitions. They had a very complex environment and a difficult environment to secure. And the team really needed a single real-time view of all the different cloud operations that were part of the environment. So they also had heavy compliance requirements and also wanted to eliminate a lot of the manual review steps that were part of the traditional security processes. And they were able to leverage ways to develop and streamline a lot of the challenges and eliminate a lot of the challenges that they were facing. Today, they use Wiz to use it as a single pane of glass across its global operations, both to streamline processes, but also like detect risk. And they were also able to reduce some of the challenges from a compliance perspective, but also from an M&A perspective. So with that said, how is Wiz helping cut down that wish list? We saw all those wish lists that we often hear from different organizations. What are we doing? So Wiz's cloud security platform, or our CNAPP platform, simplifies and unifies a number of different cloud security use cases, from posture management to vulnerability management to cloud detection response, as well as on the left to IAC scanning, code scanning, through our unified cloud security platform. Now, our platform is able to work across different cloud environments, AWS, GCP, Azure, and we're able to span across both different technologies like PaaS, containers, VMs, serverless functions, but also different stages in your development lifecycle. And we're able to support a number of different personas from devs, DevOps, GRC teams, as well as cloud security and SOC teams. Our approach is to start at the center, start with cloud security posture management, but also expand to the left and expand to the right. So we're able to help secure your development pipeline as well as help you through detection response. If you folks want to learn more, jump in and see what Wiz can do for you from a cloud security standpoint. Go onto the Wiz website, join us on LinkedIn, or follow us on Twitter. We have a ton of great stories about how we've helped other organizations in the space to do both detect threats, to reduce risk and detect threats, and also secure everything they do in the cloud. With that said, thank you so much. Thank you for joining us.